Hey, welcome back to the Talking to Teen Show. Today, you know what? I want to talk about still relationship stuff because I think teenagers need a lot of maybe direction in that, or you have a lot of questions with relationships and dating and kind of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Maybe you don't have a lot of what I shouldn't do, but and maybe you don't have a lot of like what should I do in a relationship. But today, you know what? We are just going to talk about some relationship stuff. And yesterday, all right, I was reading this here, actually in the Bible, in Proverbs. And, I've read this, I can't even tell you how many times, like hundreds and thousands of times. And yesterday, when I was reading this, holy smokes, it just like jumped out at me, which that's what's kind of cool about the Bible. You could read the same thing. You could read the same thing for a month and it's going to speak differently. Not that you need to say, how am I interpreting the Bible, but what is it saying? So that's what's the cool thing, because we are not to interpret the Bible, because so many times then we're wrong, aren't we? But when things jump out at you, God is just so awesome. So I'm gonna read this, okay? Little bit here, and maybe something's gonna jump out at you too, but then after I read this, I'm gonna, like, say, all right? So, here we go. Oh, so I poked my eyeball out here, but I'm good, all right? I'm good, for those who were concerned. Anyway, all right, this is Proverbs 7, and whatever your translation, I'm starting at 7:10. This translation is the NLT. And it's saying, the woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. She was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and the markets, soliciting at every corner. She threw her arms around him and kissed him. And it does go to 13 and finishes 13. And with a brazen look, she said, so I'm going to end it right there, though. I'm ending it at she threw her arms around him and kissed him. When I read that, oh my golly, instantly is what came to my mind was there's a lot of teenage girls that are like that. Now, I'm not trying to say you're prostitutes or anything like that, but is what instantly like this image and comes to me is so many girls can be like that, and not because they're looking for love, it's because they're acting out in their lust. So a lot of times we hear guys, how lustful the guy is, right? But we forget that girls can be just as lustful. So when I'm reading that, oh my golly, that is what like came to me, and that I needed to share that and say this to my teen girls out here that are listening to this and maybe watching this also. So think about what it is that you're doing, especially now that social media is so easily accessible, and pornography, right? For anybody is so easily accessible. And then that actually feeds the lust, doesn't it? When you have an addiction to porn, or even if you're just looking at it, or that you think, well, I don't really have an addiction. I just look at it from time to time. I just look at it, once in a while, or someone shows me something. But you need to turn away. You need to say, no, I'm not going to look at that. So when she threw her arms around him and when she kissed him, that's not talking about love. It's talking about lust. And young girls of any age can definitely be that. Now, it doesn't mean that the guy can't either, right? But then this here, you can go and read um Proverbs 7 for, yourself. Definitely do. Okay. Then you can give me what you think about it as well, because it's talking about guys being aware of this particular type of woman. So, yeah, guys, you need to be aware of that type of woman, that type of girl, female, period. Okay. So it's not just because she's a woman and she's in her 30s that you need to be aware of it. This is a female, period, because she doesn't have to be full grown, okay, an adult to be lustful. and to be acting out in her lust, and that she wants to be in this relationship because she's lusting after you. I have always said, when you lust after someone and when you are so like attracted and it's like a sexual attraction, that is the most dangerous relationship that you can ever be in, because it's definitely going to lead you down. I won't even say lead you down a road. It's going to put you in a situation that you may not have thought that you wanted to be in. That if you wanted to save yourself and for that very special day called your wedding day, but when you get into a relationship that you're lustful and that you are very much sexually attracted to that person, you will probably end up in a sexual relationship way sooner than you even anticipated, because you're not aware of it. You're not aware of the actions. You're not aware of even what's going on. And you might not even necessarily be aware, really, truly aware of, what, your feelings. You may have liked people in the past, but this person here, you are like, wow, I really like them. Look at the way they look. Look at them. I have these feelings that I've never, ever felt before or wanted to even act upon before. So you definitely need to get out of there. Okay. Do not be alone. Do not be doing things that's going to even push you into this relationship physically more. Even though it's fun, it feels good, and you're like a happy camper about it, this is where the self-control needs to kick in big time and be like, ho, 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 wait a minute here. Okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Not because I don't want to. It's not because of a want or a desire. It's because you are like, no, nope, I'm not. And that's good. Okay. That is a good thing that you are not going to do that. And if you have found yourself being this girl, what I just read, all right, kind of looking for this guy who's really innocent, looking for this guy who does not know any better, right? And you're like, what? What's wrong with that, Shauna? Well, there is things wrong with that, all right? To where you want to be the one to manipulate him into doing things with you that he doesn't want to do either. All right. So again, this isn't just where guys do these things, and pressure the girl into doing things. Girls can be just as pressuring. All right. When in the olden days, it wasn't necessarily like that. Doesn't mean that some girls weren't, but if girls were pushy, aggressive, promiscuous, man, they got like a big whoa, people did not talk to that person. They were like excommunicated, like, no, but it doesn't mean that they did not do those things. But today, it's almost like acceptable, isn't it? It's almost like it's not a big deal. Everyone acts like that. It's not a big deal. Do you see the pictures that they post on their social? You should see that. It's not that big of a deal. But like we almost give them permission. We almost give them the okay, but yet we turn around and talk about them. Oh my gosh, did you see that? But then you're doing the same thing. So how does that even make sense? The difference is we don't want to like label ourselves, oh no, but we for sure are quick to label some other girl, aren't we? Look at her, that tramp. She's so trashy and I just can't believe it. And then other names coming out of your mouth, right? Yeah. When in turn, you can be doing the exact same thing. And maybe even with her guy. Yeah, right. So it doesn't exempt you from that behavior just because you want to act like you're not doing it too. Okay. Now, I'm not saying every girl's doing this stuff. Okay. Definitely not. I'm saying there are some that are like that. There are some that are, aggressive, that are looking for this innocent guy, that are looking for this guy who, is just kind of roaming around and doesn't have, doesn't understand, doesn't have a care in the world, so to speak. Um, Maybe hasn't had a girlfriend and he's kind of an easy target. So if you are not taught anything about relationships, you are an easy target for someone that is looking to just, play with your emotions, just to have a little bit of fun with you, not have a relationship. Oh my golly. No, don't expect that from me because that's not happening. All right. So But it doesn't mean that there's not people out there that are looking and lurking and wanting to find this person. So I hope this is making sense to you. Okay. And if not, you know what? Let me know. All right. Message me, but let me know if what I'm saying does not make any sense at all. But it might not make that much sense to you, when you're a little bit younger, maybe 13. Okay. And you are innocent, which is good. You should be. And it's okay to be innocent at 19. I just want to say that it's okay to have your innocence. It's okay to be, um, where you haven't had experiences in life with relationships. That's totally okay. There is nothing wrong with you if you are not this type of girl who's just, what do I want to say, readily available, okay, for any type of activity that someone is looking for. It's okay that you are not being that person, okay? So then the guy who is innocent, or even the guy who isn't so innocent and is kind of looking for that kind of girl as well. And it's not because, hey, man, do not expect a relationship from me, because it is not happening. So there are people that, that do that kind of stuff. So whatever the phrase is that you want to call it today, friends with benefits or whatever it is, because that phrase I think can tend to change from time to time. But here's the point. The point is, it's wrong and you really shouldn't be doing it. So that's really the point here. Okay. Especially if, you are a Christian. I'm always going to bring it back to that because I just am. With those people that, claim that they are Christians, or because you do go to church, and the things that you are doing with even your relationship. And so many times they'll say, well, you know what, we've been dating a long time and it's not that big of a deal, Shauna. So, what, I might even marry them. Might is the key word there. But will you? But are you married? That's really the thing, isn't it? Might and am is not the same thing, is it? So if you are fooling around with your relationship and with your girlfriend, boyfriend right now, and especially if you are this Christian and you go to church, people know that you do those things and live that life. You need to have some conviction in your heart, like right about now, okay? Instead of pushing it down and thinking it's not a big deal, well, because it can be, right? You can still cause a pregnancy, can't you? Yeah, even if you are a Christian. Did you know that? Just because Christians fool around and do things like acting like they're married, guess what? You can still make a baby, can't you? Yeah, you can. So if you did not know that, now you do. All right. So then this is not about me judging you, okay? But it's really truly about that sense of who you say you are. All right. Because people know who you say you are. But now, how do you live your life with who you say you are, and the things that you do and the things that you, participate in when I'm talking about, when it comes to godly things in your life? Do you just really participate, show up because, I understand that, your family makes you go. You're like, you know what, Shauna, I go to church, but you know what? I wouldn't consider myself a Christian. I wouldn't say that I've given my heart to Jesus because I haven't, and I really don't want to. Hey, that's totally your decision, isn't it? Free will is real. So that's up to you. But if you are the Christian and people do know that, and you have even said that, that you will say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm a Christian. You consider yourself that. Then you do need to think about what you're doing with your boyfriend and with your girlfriend. Is that God honoring? Because what you're doing, is it? And now it doesn't mean that you don't have the feelings, right? Because, hey, that's normal. Okay. You're alive, you're breathing, you're human. But having those feelings and acting on those feelings is two complete different things. So just because you feel that way doesn't mean you need to act in that way to pursue things that, you know what, you really shouldn't be doing because you are not married. So you probably shouldn't be acting like you are because, you know what, even if you think you're going to marry the person, the fact is, are you married to the person? And you're probably not if you're in high school. So even if you're 19, you're probably not. But hey, if you are, then have at it, right? So because married is not the same as dating. So back to that little scripture thing, you can read that for yourself, and hey, you can even just start reading Proverbs a day right now because there's actually 31 Proverbs, which is kind of cool. 31 Proverbs in a month. Well, when we have 31 days in a month. So that's pretty cool. So I just want to share that with you. And I also am just thinking just about your relationships in general. If you have questions about relationships that you maybe aren't too sure that you want to talk to your parents about, I'm not trying to take the place of your parent by any means, but if you would like to talk to me and ask me some things, you know what? Hey, I would like to say I'm here for you. Okay. But definitely, I always want to encourage you to talk with your mom and your dad. All right. I definitely always want to encourage you to do that. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult and hard to talk with them. But if you write them a little note and just say, hey, can we talk today, tonight after we eat? I have some things that I want to talk about. You can send them a text message. You can, you know, put a little note on the mirror for where they're at in the bathroom, put a little note in their car on the steering wheel. Just sometimes you making the effort like that is helpful because, there's a lot of parents that don't talk to their teen about relationships because they're scared themselves, believe it or not. And they don't know what to say and they don't know how to have a conversation with you about it. So sometimes it's a scary thing on their part, but you can initiate some things there too and then just say, hey, can we talk about my relationship or relationships? If you haven't started dating, can we talk about when I can date? If that's something that your parents have talked to you about and said you can date at this age, and maybe you want to have a conversation about that even more. All right, talk to your parents and make it a conversation, not like where you're getting all mad and angry and then you storm off into your room and you shut the door and then you get on your phone for 10 hours. So you have to kind of be mature yourself here, buck it up. There you go. And talk with your parents. Okay. When you are this type of, okay, girl, all right, female, and throwing yourself at the guy, there are guys definitely that do know what they're doing and will totally take advantage of you because they think that, hey, well, this is what she wants. Um, and they'll take advantage of that. But a lot of times it doesn't mean just because a girl is throwing herself at the guy, it doesn't mean that she's trying to have a sexual relationship with him either. But you have to understand, ladies, okay, that what it is that you are doing and what it is that you are like, what message you are showing the guy, because what your thoughts are is not going to necessarily be what his thoughts are, okay? Because guys, girls, we think differently. So they don't understand what you're saying unless you're going to be saying it. And sometimes they still don't understand what you're saying, even though you do say it, because that's just, it's sometimes just the way it is. Okay. So if you want to be, not having sex, you know, until you're married, all right, then you definitely, you know what? You definitely need to keep your hands to yourself. All right. And don't be throwing yourself at guys and don't be kissing on them. Oh my golly. All right. And really, truly, even if it is your boyfriend and you guys are having these makeout sessions, you, hmm, and you don't want to be sexually active, well, you probably need to stop doing that. Because if you think about from the first time that you've done that to what it is now, how much has progressed in that time frame? Okay. From the first little kiss, oh my gosh, that was so, I just can't believe that. Just can't believe he kissed me. To now, to where you're like, oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about, Shawna. It has changed a lot. So you might have to go back into your relationship, especially if you've dated this person for a while, okay? And be like, well, you know what? We need to make some changes here because I really don't want to be doing what I've been doing anymore. Like I don't want to do that anymore. It's not because I don't want to. Let me rephrase myself because yeah, I do want to do that, okay? But I don't want to do that, okay? So, you might have to like make that a little bit like it's not what's best for us. And if we want to stay sex free, all right, until we're married, and because we might not even marry each other. So you might need to be saying some things to your relationship and speak that out loud to the person that you're dating, all right? And that you've been in this relationship with for a long time. But hey, there's relationships too that start out in 2 weeks that they have done a whole lot of things in a 2-week time frame. And within a month, they are very sexually active already. And that's a lot of times because of what they've done in past relationships. So if you don't want that to be your life, you don't want that to be who you are or what you've done. Maybe you've done it already, but you know, it doesn't mean you have to stay doing that. You don't have to stay in that. You can stop and you can say, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then don't. Okay. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy because it won't be, because you've done that already, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay doing that. So if you have been the person, you have been the girl, all right, who has just been throwing her arms around guys and then kissing them, and then, you know what, no relationship here, but, you know, let's go have some fun. Woohoo! Just you and me. Um, you need to probably stop doing that too. All right. Because a whole lot of things can happen there. And guys, if that has been the girl that has done that to you, here is a great thing for you to do to show, okay, your leadership. And that's for you to, yeah, definitely not be a scum sucking pig loser, okay, and go and do those things with her because, well, hey, she's willing. It doesn't mean that you need to be. You can take her hands, take them off of you, and just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do that with you. I'm going to respect you, and I'm not going to do that with you. So that is how, guys, that you can put a stop to that. And then maybe even say to her, you know what, you are a very beautiful girl, but you wanting to do that does not, you know, and I don't mean this to sound mean, that actually takes away the beauty from who she really truly is. And even though you might be thinking, well, it's pretty good to me, Shauna. Hey, hey, she actually looks even more beautiful. But you know, but true beauty isn't just the makeup, is it? It's not the fake eyelashes. It's not the fake tan. It's not the coloring hair. That's not the true beauty, because the true beauty is who she is on the inside. So she may look woohoo, pretty fine and dandy, right, on the outside, but who she truly is on the inside, that's what you should really be concerned with. That's who you should want to be with, not just take advantage of something that she's willing to do. All right. So that's how, guys, you protect her. That's how you be the leader that you should be, by not doing those things, even though she might want to, and even though she could be willing and throwing herself on you and kissing you. You don't have to kiss her back, do you? No, you don't. You can shut your mouth and say no. No. Move your head, turn your head. You don't have to participate in the activity. That might not be that popular where you're at and the people that you are around, but I guarantee you, as you get older, you are going to be thinking, wow, you know what? I'm glad that I listened to that lady that one time when I heard that show. I'm really happy that I, you know what, didn't keep doing those things, or I stopped doing that stuff, because it's going to definitely make a big difference in your life and who you are and the type of person that you become as an adult. Because, you know, just because who we are as teenagers, it doesn't mean that we stay being that person as an adult. And I got to tell you, sometimes thank you, God, that I am not the same person that when I was a teen that I have become an adult as. So some of you, when you look back to even when you were, you know, like what, fifth grade or something like that, and now maybe you are 14, and you're like, wow, you know, I did some stupid stuff then. See, as you continue to get older, you look back and you see how immature you were or how dumb things that you did, and you're like, and you can laugh like, wow, that was really dumb. And I cannot believe I did that. So as you continue to get older, and when you're in your 20s, you will look back and see what you did as a teenager, When you're 30, you will look back and see what you were like in high school and be like, wow, I am so glad I am not that person anymore. So those are good things. But then, there's are some people that are still the same person, that have not changed very much. So that can be a thing as well. But that doesn't mean that has to be you, does it? Sure doesn't. So think about who you do want to be as an adult. Think about what kind of person you do want to be when you get married. Who do you want to be as a husband? Who do you want to be as a wife when you have children? What types of things, what do you want to teach your children? So it's good for you to think in terms like that. And even if you have younger siblings, cousins, people in your life that are younger than you, what example do you want to be for them? Okay, because they're definitely looking at you. They're definitely watching you and they want to be just like you. So, what's the example that you want to be for them? Because when it comes to, being in a relationship and whether you're sexually active or not, hey, they are paying attention very, very closely, way more than you probably even realize that they are, especially if you are so wrapped up in your relationship that you forget that, oh, there's other people here. Oh my gosh, what? When did they get here? Well, they've been there for a long time and they're like watching you and staring at you sometimes like, what? What are they doing? What are they going to do now? Oh, are you going to kiss her? She's going to kiss her boyfriend. Then they're doing those kinds of things like that. And they're holding hands. Oh my gosh, look at them. See, they're paying attention, aren't they? So the things that you do, then they want to be doing those things too. So you do need to watch what you're doing. Pay attention to how you are behaving with a relationship. And even if it's not your relationship, just with the opposite sex, period. How are you dressing? What kind of clothing are you wearing that these little people want to be dressing like you? Is it appropriate? Should you be wearing it? All right. So, what are the things that you should not be doing that you're doing that you need to change and stop doing? Okay. Hey, did that make sense to you? It made sense to me, but maybe it didn't to you, but it did to me. All right. So think about these things. That's what you need to be doing with how you are acting, how you are behaving, the things that you are showing the opposite sex and how you are coming across to them. So that's what I want you to be thinking about and making some changes if you need to. Okay. And it might not be the most popular thing and no one else wants to make those changes. But I got to tell you, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You are accountable for you. You might be hanging out with some people who are some pretty, that don't care. You might be hanging out with people like that who basically, do a whole lot of whatever they want with whoever they want. But that doesn't mean that you have to do that anymore. You might be lonely for a little bit, but hey, sometimes being lonely, being home and developing a relationship with your mom or your dad can actually be a way better thing than you hanging out with people that the influence is not very good for you. Okay. So that might be what is best for you. So think about those things. All right. And again, how you are with relationships and even the non relationship. Okay. And what your actions are. How loud are they speaking to those around you? How loud are they speaking to the opposite sex? How loud are they speaking to the little people and even the old people? Okay? Ew. There's some icky old people out there. Ew, ew, ew. So really, truly pay attention to how you dress, what you say, how you are being, okay? Now, you don't have to be to the point to where you're like a weirdo, okay? Like, oh my gosh, where you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you can't do nothing because now you're scared and so fearful, okay? Because no, I don't mean to be like that. Just pay attention to maybe what your wardrobe is and how you've been acting towards the opposite sex. Maybe out of lust or because you're thinking you just want attention. And sometimes you're getting the wrong attention. The attention you should be having should be healthy and how you are acting and how you are being. So that's all I want to say today in our Talking to Teens show. And I do have more shows to come. So thank you for being here and listening today. And I will See you in the next show.